Its team getting that paint.
Maxey with the steal off a Monk, and he slams for two.
Hurts looking left, lofting left, going for the end zone, and he's
Go to work.
Embiid foul, count it! Joel Embiid.
Defense is what you're looking for.
at 5. Hurts taking a deep shot. He's got his
Fox blocked. Wow, great defensive play.
What is up, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to Party on Broad today. If you are watching live, please be sure to comment. As always, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Today we are breaking down our mid-season review and report of the Philadelphia Eagles. We got 4 questions that we're going to go one by one and really just get down and dirty with everything the Philadelphia Eagles. Joining me, of course, my man down there. He is Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
Not much, man. Listen, I love the new intro, but the Flyers brethren is going to come for your head if you don't get a Flyers highlight in there.
Dude, we never talk Flyers, man. We rarely.
They are the only team in the city. Well, they're the one team that's playing very well right now.
And then we got a special guest. He is the co-host of the Talk podcast with Mark Henry Jr. He is Shane. Follow him on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TBL. What's up, Shane?
Much. I just got out of class, 30 minutes away. Might have taken a couple turns on 2 wheels to make it here in time, but we're here, ready to talk about the Eagles, I guess, sort of.
All right, we're just going to jump right into this thing. The first question is, guys, if you're watching this live, please be sure to comment and express where you're most disappointed in. After 9 games, I am most disappointed in blank. For me, I'm going to just start us off. It's the Eagles pass rush. All you have to do is look at some of the recent games against the solid competition. I'm not going to include that Detroit Lions game because that was just absolute garbage. The take of that was the Lions are dysfunctional, not the Eagles are some offensive juggernaut team. But you look against the Raiders, Carr was efficient. 91+% of his passes completed, 300+ yards, 2 touchdowns. The Raiders kept everything close. They made Jonathan Gannon just look absolutely silly with everything between the sticks. You look at the Chargers, Herbert, same scenario. Everything within 10 yards, 91+% completion percentage. Yet again, 5.7 yards depth per target. So everything was kept short and simple, and Gannon had no answers. But you look at kind of what the Eagles defense did, especially their pass rush did against those 2 guys in Carr and Herbert. They barely touched them. Carr and Herbert's average quarterback rating was 118.4. I know Brandon Graham is hurt, but the truth is you have so much salary cap tied to this Eagles defensive line, and they're just really literally not getting it done. Being bottom 3rd in the league in quarterback hurries, pressures, total sacks, quarterback knockdowns per pass attempt, that is just not good enough. This was supposed to be a defensive line that carried the Sixers. I've been doing way too many Sixers pods. Carried the Eagles all throughout the season. It has not been the case. So for me, I am most disappointed in the Eagles defensive line. You got a tweet there, Shane?
Yeah, you were just talking about the money allocated on the defense. Over the Cap put this out today, and so I thought I'd throw it up while you were talking. This is not counting dead cash. This is just salary spent for guys on the roster. The Eagles spend the 2nd most in the league on interior defensive line, 3rd most at edge, 7th overall spending on defense league-wide.
It's unbelievable.
Yet they're 7th league-wide, and look at the linebackers and the defensive backs. It's like they just don't even give a damn about those 2 positions. It's just
Shay or Rob, what are you most disappointed in?
I changed one word in this question for my answer. So after 9 games, I am done with is how I'm going. And there's 2 people that I'm planning on taking my venom out on right now. One, you basically alluded to the defense. I'm alluded to Jonathan Gannon. Why? Because everybody and their mother wanted to tell you that he was actually the guy that people thought would be a head coach from that staff, that this was the guy who adapted to his players and made things fit his players. This guy is the softest defensive coordinator in the history, in my opinion, of the National Football League. It's not just like, oh, well, look at who they played. This defense right now is on pace to be the historically worst defense when it comes to a quarterback's completion percentage. This is an abomination in a city where even when our teams sucked and we were winning 3 games, you always could count on a defense to just, fire you up week in and week out. It's unwatchable. It's unwatchable. I know he doesn't have the greatest horses in the world, but you have corners on this team that you could probably try to play a little press coverage. Why don't you try blitzing a linebacker every now and again? Since they can't cover anyway, you might as well friggin' blitz them. They can't cover anybody anyway. Blitz that son of a bitch. But no, Jonathan Gannon's smart. He's Jim Schwartz on steroids, and I didn't think anybody could out-Schwartz Jim Schwartz, but he's doing it. So that's 1. 2, Dives, you might want to earmuff this. But I am done with Jalen friggin' Reagor. The guy does not know how to do anything but run fast. He can't run routes. He runs backwards every time he gets the ball in his hand. And then has the audacity to bitch and complain. Yeah, here we go. There it is. Great play. That's your first-round pick. That's your first-round pick that everyone told me would have been way better for this team than Justin Jefferson. I hate all of you. Just Dives, I don't hate you, but in that moment I did. But and then the guy complains. He stinks. He stinks. Like, I can't even say, oh, it's the system. There's no system for a guy who can't run routes. So they're the 2 guys I am done with.
Wow, tell us how you really feel, Rob.
Yeah, dude, that was a 3-week tirade. I have been waiting to do this. It's been too damn long. That's why I needed to get on here today and let some shit fly.
All right, we've got 2 for the defense, 1 for Jalen Reagor. Finish us off, Shane.
I really miss being on podcasts with Rob because I know how to share things on the screen while he's talking that just get him fired up more.
Yes.
And I just enjoy listening to it, watching it unfold. So I miss that dynamic. For me, I'm most disappointed in Jonathan Gannon. He was billed as this guy who was going to come in. He gets, the Colts never spent a lot of money. They never spent high draft capital on cornerbacks. And they always had a good defense. And he was supposed to be the cornerback whisperer. Well, you look at it, he has good cornerbacks here. Darius Slay is a good cornerback. They went and got Steven Nelson. Avonte Maddox has come into his own right this year. He's got a trio of cornerbacks. He doesn't have linebackers and safeties. But still, he has better personnel than Jim Schwartz had. And this is it. The Eagles' defense has allowed a 75% completion percentage. They've given up 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, a QB rating of 103.1 on the year. Like, if you took that as one person, that is the best completion percentage allowed in the NFL, 11th in touchdowns, 3rd in quarterback rating. Where is this guy's adjustments? We saw him do some different things against the Lions. I don't care. It's the Lions. Like, we just sat back and let Justin Herbert dice us up. If you look, we cover the whole NFL on Chalk Talk. We talked about on that podcast that Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense was struggling. 3 weeks ago, they played the Baltimore Ravens, who are a very blitz-happy team. The Chargers condense a lot of their sets. It makes it easy to disguise where you're bringing that pressure, and they did that. They rattled Herbert. He was largely ineffective. Then they had their bye. They came out and they played New England. Bill Belichick, great defensive coach. He disguised a lot of his fronts, and sometimes he brought pressure, sometimes he didn't. You never knew. Herbert was guessing on his back foot all week. And so with that blueprint, what did the Eagles do? We spot dropped into soft zone coverage, and we let him complete 85% of his passes. Gannon should have been fired after that game. Leave him in LA. You can leave him in Denver next week. I don't care. I'm done with Jonathan Gannon. He needs to be off of this football team.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're all defense. I feel like we're going to be – I'm getting the vibe that we're going to be talking about a lot of the same stuff here. Let's go on to the next question, and that's the other end. After 9 games, I am most excited about. Shane, lead us off. Let's go backward.
Come back to me. I got a couple of them here, and I'm gonna zig if one of you guys takes my first one. So I got two.
Rob, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, there's two things for me, one more than others. One, Devontae Smith. I know that the numbers may not be there. I know that the stats may not be what we would want, but you've seen enough of this guy to know you got a legitimate one, right? This was a dummy-proof selection in a sense. You know, I know the size isn't there, but watch the way he runs routes. Watch the way he knows where he is on the sideline. Like for a guy in his first year to be able to do some of those little intangible things on the field, it's really, really, really impressive. He's confident himself. He knows himself. He doesn't get down. Like, you know, this is probably the most losing he's done in a very long time. And he's a very positive, fiery guy with everybody. So I'd say Devontae Smith. My second thing, people are going to tell me I'm nuts, but it's something that I was hoping to see sooner rather than what we did see. But I'm excited because I've seen adjustments made by the head coach of this football team. Have they been the strongest adjustments? No. Has he won me over? Totally no. But I've seen him the last 2 weeks dedicate to the running game. And for people that say he hasn't called good plays, Shane has done a tremendous job of showing how many receivers Jalen Hurts has missed on certain plays this year. On top of that, you know, I don't think they trust Jalen Hurts to make some of the throws. I think that's very clear. So, yeah, I do think it's vanilla at times. But I've at least seen this guy make adjustments as opposed to his counterpart on the defense who just does the same shit every week.
All right, my turn. After 9 games, I am most excited about, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. Sorry, Shane, I got to go here, but that is the 2022 NFL draft. I mean, right now it looks like the Eagles are a lock, you know, to at least get 2 top 15, maybe top 20 picks next year. That Colts pick, we're just a few weeks away from that converting, which looks like high teens to low 20s. There really hasn't been a quarterback that has stood out, you know, taking the reins as the top guy in this upcoming NFL draft. But you look at the way the draft board is playing out, is literally the opposite of last year. There are tons of edge rushers. There's a handful of prospects that really fit the Eagles' needs, from edge rusher to linebacker to defensive back. We're 9 games into this season, and if there is one positive takeaway, is the fact that you see the Eagles, they're devoid of talent on this roster in many key spots. And the Eagles are going to have 4 really high picks in this coming draft. And I'm really excited. That is something that I'm really excited about as a guy who loves the NFL draft, a guy who covers it. And I'm excited to deep dive into it. Me and Mark are already getting our boards ready literally today for some stuff there. But yeah, so that's really what I'm excited about, is injecting talent into this defense. We talked about what we're most disappointed in to start the show. You look at, you know, the way the draft board set, the Eagles have a real opportunity to go back to those Jim Johnson days and inject a ton of really talented guys on defense, defensive back, Kyle Hamilton, Andrew Booth Jr., Derek Stingley, Leal. You've got, of course, Kayvon Thibodeau, if they're lucky enough to get the number 1 pick. George Kalafdis. You've got Aiden Hutchinson, Khair Elam from Florida. There's a lot of really strong guys here in this NFL draft on defense, man. Yeah, Rob.
Before we go to Shane, here's why I can't get excited for the draft. I want to.
Here we go.
And every reason you're saying is why I want to. But there's still this whole problem about a little ferret-looking creature making our draft picks on draft day. And I don't try, like, you could give, like, maybe he hits on 1, but the chance he hits on 3 first-round picks, especially if teams start winning, slim to none. I trust Howie Roseman 0. And that's the only thing. Like, I got so excited for the draft in the past couple of years working with you guys and listening to you guys. But this guy, this weasel, okay, has ruined my day more times than he hasn't. A la Jalen freaking Reagor. and Jalen Hurts for that matter. But all right, Shane, sorry, didn't mean to take your thunder there.
You're good. You're good. I figured somebody was going to say Devonta Smith, so I was going to get him out there at the end if nobody else had. But my other guy, kind of a more below the radar guy, is a guy that I've been on really since the offseason, and that's Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox is a guy that when he was drafted, he came in his rookie year. He got asked to play free safety because of injuries, a position he'd never played before, and he did a pretty good job. Then over the subsequent 2 years, he was asked to play outside corner at like 5'7" with his little T-Rex arms, and it went predictably awfully. Now, I don't understand why the Eagles only like slot corners. We traded for another slot corner at the deadline. We traded Zach Ertz for a slot corner. We have so many slot corners. But I was excited in the offseason that for the first time in his career, Avonte Maddox was slated to be our slot cornerback. And I think he's done really well there. For what it's worth, and PFF grades are not an end-all be-all, but the tape tells a similar tale. He's got a 72 PFF grade. It's only like 2 points below Darius Slay's grade. I think he's been a difference maker this year. He's forced 2 fumbles. Nobody else on the team has done that. He's got an interception. He really seems to be coming into his own as a slot corner for us. Now, expiring contract, so hopefully they extend him. It'd just be perfect, if he has this breakout year and then walks in free agency and he plays really good somewhere else next year. But I am excited by what I've seen from Avonte Maddox.
Quick nod to Sipos, our punter, who has been another few of the bright spots of the very few bright spots on this team. Let's roll on to our next question. Define the Eagles through 9 games in one word. Who wants to go first on this one? Shane.
I'll go.
All right.
My word is hurts. It goes 2 ways.
Yeah.
The season hurts because, again, we're sitting here at the midseason and we're talking about the draft and we're not even in a playoff picture. And that's painful. That hurts. But it also hurts because that's what this whole season's about. We knew it up front. We've known it for a long time. Some people convinced themselves otherwise throughout the offseason or maybe after we blew out the Falcons. But this season's all about Jalen Hurts. It's about finding out what he is. And so although this season has hurt to watch, it's about evaluating one guy and what that's going to mean for the franchise going forward.
I'll go. My word is infancy. Infancy for the Eagles. We kind of expected this, but the growing pains has kind of been the common thread here between you've got Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Jonathan Gannon. First year quarterback starting, first year head coach, first year defensive coordinator. On my end, these are 3 levels. These 3 levels, you see seemingly these guys are just learning on the fly. Jalen Hurts has had his ups and downs. Nick Sirianni, we've called him out as a play caller so many times this year. Jonathan Gannon, just straight dumpster fire. But when you look at the Eagles' current linebackers and safeties, I'm not sure Gannon even was the best choice as defensive coordinator, given what that defense looks like personnel-wise. So as much as I want to rush to judgment about Jalen Hurts, about Nick Sirianni, even Jonathan Gannon, who probably, it could be kicked to the curb among those 3, we don't know anything yet. I still think there's still a lot to learn, especially Jalen Hurts, which we'll get to in a second, and especially Nick Sirianni. And Jonathan Gannon, giving him more talent after this next year's draft. So infancy is my common thread. We still don't know that much. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to say expectation, and I think it works in a variety of levels. First of all, everybody got excited as the season got closer, and people started to change what they had already had as an expectation for this team. I expected them to be a 6-win team, maybe. I still think they can get to that number. I still would not be surprised if they hit 6 wins on the season, maybe even 7. But this is what I expected. I didn't expect Hurts to light the world on fire. I love the kid. We'll talk about him in a minute. I expected maybe a little more out of the defense, but we had these expectations that it was going to be a rough go. And I think the frustrating part is more honestly, I believe that some of our frustration as a fan base goes deeper than what you're seeing on the field. It's because you know who's running this. It's the great and powerful Oz, known as Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. And as long as those guys are still making key critical decisions, it doesn't matter. But I will say one last thing about expectation. Some of the fans have got to grow the hell up. And what I mean by this is you asked for a coach to tell you what was really on his mind for years. Now you talk about how much of a loser Nick Sirianni is. Everybody rips his speech, the Flowers speech. Fine. It was weird. It was awkward. But to be the jackass to bring Flowers to a game and try and throw him at his head after, by the way, maybe one of his best coach games, by the way, as far as adjusting to what the defense is giving you. It's unnecessary. It just feeds that national idea. Just don't be stupid. You knew what the expectations were coming into this. You know, like I'm not in the fire Nick Sirianni crowd. I know that there's a crowd already for that. I'm fine giving this guy an opportunity.
Yep.
But, you know, we got to temper our expectations and not act like jackasses when exactly what we thought is what has happened.
Absolutely.
I just got to say, Nick Sirianni reacts to a bouquet of flowers very differently than my wife.
I tell you what, man, he looked like he was ready to go up in the stands.
I said that on Chalk Talk, and somebody in the comments said, well, I hope you don't throw him at her. And I said, I never have done that, but maybe for science, I'll do it and I'll report back. So,
yeah.
Speaking of, not to hijack this, but did you guys see what Jordan Mailata said today?
Yes,
No.
Excellent.
So they asked him what he thought about playing next to Landon Dickerson at left guard because they've been, next to each other for a good portion of the year since Samalo got hurt. And he said, our bromance is blooming. Get it?
Oh, my
blooming. And then after that, he said, I'm sorry. I thought that was funnier than you did. I love that guy.
He's fantastic.
Eagles Uncensored podcast dropping in and says, what's good, guys? Thanks for joining. What is going on? So let's keep this rolling. Last question of the show. After 9 games, I feel blank confident that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the future. Who wants to go first?
I got it.
All right.
Okay, so we divide quarterbacks into 3 categories, 3 buckets, right? You've heard this before. There's quarterbacks you win because of, quarterbacks you win with, and quarterbacks you win in spite of. I'm fairly certain that Jalen Hurts is in that bucket of quarterbacks you can win with. I don't think his ceiling will ever put him in the quarterback you win because of category. So if the Eagles want to build a system around him, I think you can do it. But your margin for error is so small when you're not looking at having a top 5, a top 10 quarterback to go win a Super Bowl. The Eagles have shown that they are so committed to investing resources into quarterback. I think it's very unlikely that they're okay to settle with that. And so I'm going to say there's about a 15 to 20% chance that Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback next year. However, I was very encouraged by what I saw on the field Sunday. I think if he can continue to string some of those performances together. And I'm not talking about the rushing yards. I'm not even talking about the stats. I'm talking about he was stepping up into pockets and delivering passes with pockets collapsing on Sunday. And earlier in the year, he was bailing out of clean pockets. That's the biggest thing I want to see from him. If he can show that ability, I would change that percentage as we go, and I would feel better about it. And so I want to continue to see growth there. Right now, I'm pretty skeptical he'll be the guy at the start of next season, but I do have a lot more hope than I did a couple of weeks ago.
What about you, Rob?
Look, I never felt confident that he's the quarterback of the future. And it really is a shame because he might be one of the more likable guys to come through Philadelphia. Like, I love everything about him. He always has the right thing to say. I mean, but I still don't have confidence that he's the guy of the future. And yeah, it was great to see him stand in the pocket and take a couple hits and step up. I still think he bails a little too early at times, but young mobile quarterbacks have done that a lot. Some guys can grow out of that. My major concern with him is his timing and his arm strength. And yes, once again, can you work on them? Yeah, but man, you better have a really, really, really good team around that if you want to win in the foreseeable future, because the arm strength, like the timing, he missed the touchdown. It ends up probably they score that touchdown, they win. The pass that he misses Devontae Smith, if he throws it as he's breaking, he's got him. But he keeps, as Shane put in the video today, he's going back. It's almost like in Madden when you're going back as far as you can, as Shane said, before you throw it up. And they're the things that worry me. And can he make the change? I guess, but I don't know. I don't see the Eagles waiting around to take that risk.
Yeah, I came in after last season. I was like 50, like on whether or not Jalen Hurts was the guy. Season started, and I was kind of leaning more towards like 70% that, all right, maybe he is the guy. As the season progressed, I went down again. Now I'm back up again. In summary, no freaking clue. No freaking clue.
That's cheating. That's not an answer.
Yeah.
All right, I feel uncomfortably confident that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the future for me. Like, he's clearly not the next Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. He's clearly not some future All-Pro within the next few years. And I agree, Shane. Like, if your goal is to, drop him back 15 to 20 times, have a strong running game, sell the run, or buy in with a run, and play action downfield with the pass. There is something there to that if you're like building a great defense and an offensive line and so forth. But this is not the guy that you're going to drop back 40 times a game and hope that he learns how to make his progressions and make those big throws downfield. That's not what Jalen Hurts is. And I'm pretty confident, I'm going to answer that he's not that guy. That's not what we should expect moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you look at you're not going to win throwing the ball 15 times a game unless you're playing Detroit. I mean, they've literally done it against the two worst run defenses in the NFL. You can't make a living doing that. You can win games throwing 20 to 25 times, having a really good run blocking offensive line, running the ball, setting up play action, and having a good defense. The problem is, like, you just look at all the things that have to go right there. You have to have a good offensive line. You've got to have a really good defense. That's harder and harder to do in today's NFL. As opposed to a really good quarterback can cover a lot of flaws. And so your margin for error is much smaller. I think the Eagles could build a system around that. It certainly helps that NFL defenses are getting smaller and faster and lighter. That opens the way for some of that. But at the end of the day, he needs to be able to throw. They need to be able to win with him throwing 25 times a game. And I think they can do that. I'm just not sure if it's what they're going to want to do. And Jalen Hurts is going to be on a shorter timer than a normal quarterback would, because the Eagles are staring down the barrel of 3 first-round picks. If they had one, you probably give him another year. There's no urgency. But with 3 first-round picks, you can go get any quarterback that you want. And so I think that's more than anything going to lead to a shorter timeline for him. He's going to have to prove it, and he's going to have to do it convincingly by the end of this year.
Real quick, to wrap this up, let me go here, share my screen. The last question for you guys. I put up a poll from everything you've seen from Jalen Hurts this season. Has he earned a second season as starting quarterback next year? Lead us off, Rob. Yes or no? What's your quick thoughts on that?
I mean, quickly, no. I don't think I've seen enough. I think he's destined to stay in the league as a journeyman backup type quarterback. I love the kid. I really do. And honestly, I wish they could have put his brain and his comments into Carson Wentz's body with Carson's athleticism. You would have had a hell of a quarterback, but I just don't. So far, if I got to make the decision now, no, he hasn't done enough.
What about you, Shane? The majority says yes, but what's your take?
Yeah, if the draft is tomorrow, I'm drafting a quarterback. Now, that said, there's 8 games left, and he's made strides that I like the last couple of weeks, and so he can earn that for me. He hasn't earned that yet.
So the really interesting thing about the way this draft is playing out, there's like I said earlier, not a single quarterback has really stood out this year. So this is going to be one of those years like Justin Fields, maybe in that mid first round falling. Like there's going to be guys like Malik Willis, guys, like Carson Strong, Matt Corral, that are going to be in that mid to late first round area that I think would be perfect. Like if you could use one of your like later first round picks and use your top 2 picks on the defense, I am all about that. That is a major
low-cost investment.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get on draft shows with you guys because I already have like 1,000 questions about certain guys that like I want to hear your opinions on as far as fits for the Eagles. And you just mentioned one, Dives. That's why I brought it up. Like I've watched more Ole Miss games this year than ever before, and I just feel like I love Matt Corral, but I know like there's something I'm missing because I just
Mr. Dink and Dunk.
What's that?
He's Mr. Dink and Dunk. If you love between the sticks offense, that's what he is. Like he's extremely accurate. He's extremely accurate within 9 yards, not much down the field. So that's what he is. He's got.
I think I just like his moxie on the field.
Oh, yeah.
He's fiery, man. I just like the way he plays the game.
And he's sneaky athletic too. I think.
Yeah.
But I'm excited, man. Me and Mark are putting together our own top 10s, and we're going to re-update them as the college football season progresses.
Nice.
That is in the works. We're working on that today, and I'm sure Shane will jump in as well as we roll on. But let's wrap up the show. Rob, where can we find you, man?
Well, there's a couple things. So you can obviously find me at Philly_Madness on Twitter. You can find me whenever I get to hop on with these awesome fellas. But I wanted to put something out there. So I mentioned the last time that I'm in real estate now, so I'm always doing some fun things. So on my Facebook page, I'm deciding this is the first week I'm doing it.
Okay.
From now on, I'm going to put a post up, and I want people to send their score predictions, in my comments. Whoever gets closest to the score prediction of that week's Eagles game will receive a sandwich or a pizza from me, DoorDash, to their residence for Monday Night Football the following night. So you got to get your score predictions in. And, obviously, if you win, you have to send me the address. But I'm going to buy somebody dinner every week for the rest of the season for Monday Night Football, depending on who's the closest score prediction. So follow me at Rob Lange on Facebook. I know it's a dead technology, but in the real estate world, I'm finding out just how big Facebook can be. So follow me over there. Send your score predictions in.
Was it Rob Lange on Facebook?
Yeah.
Hold on. Rob Lange on Facebook.
That's right. That's right.
All right, you're up, Shane.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at _TPL. Check out the twice weekly podcast I do with Mark Henry Jr., Chalk Talk. We do like the first 25 to 30 minutes of the show is all Eagles focused, Eagles preview, Eagles review, and then we throw it around the NFL for another 30 or 40 minutes. We hit on all the games in a more abbreviated version. Go check out our Week 9 review. It was titled NFL Coaching Frauds, and I just started naming names. We kind of went on a tirade against some of these highly thought of coaches that we think are frauds. So you can go check that out if you are so inclined.
How dare you talk shit on my man, Matt Rule? It's just not cool, man.
Spoiler. That was 90. That was the one that Mark brought to the table. I brought 3, and Rule wasn't one of them, but I didn't argue with him.
All right. That is Chalk Talk. Don't want to miss it. Awesome stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying. I've been putting out a lot of Eagles highlight reels. So if you love Jalen Hurts, literally, I do the good and the bad of Jalen Hurts every single week. So don't want to miss those. I've got a movie trivia night going down this Friday. It's going to be a drinking game as well. This week is going to be 90s themed, so that's going to be fun. And then, Rob, we have a new movie draft on Saturday. It's going to be science fiction films. So that's going down. I've got the last pick in the draft. So I'm hoping for like Interstellar or like Inception or Jurassic Park.
Speaking of science fiction, I have my son walking around saying "E.T. phone home," and he walks around on his knees because he says that's how E.T. walks. So we're getting into some sci-fi around these parts.
I love it. Man, can never go wrong with Spielberg. But thank you everyone for watching. Guys, please be sure to smash that subscribe button. Follow my man Shane on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. He is Rob at Philly_Madness. For Rob, for Shane, for myself, thanks for watching. Stay awesome, everyone.